Hey guys, how's it going? It is Mr. Densley without a mask. Today we're going to be talking about a cool biological concept called circadian rhythms. Now, a circadian rhythm, if you haven't heard that term before, is essentially changes or cycles within an organism that essentially optimize the timing of a biological event so that it happens in the most favorable time. Okay, so hold on to that thought for a minute and we'll jump into the example for this circadian rhythm discussion. So the discussion is antlers. First, a couple of things to just fill your gee whiz bag for the future fun facts. So antlers are the fastest growing tissue known to man. They grow faster than anything else. And the other thing is that they grow in response to light. So maybe you remember when we talked about plants, we used this term photoperiodism. Now, photoperiodism is a term that essentially means this. As the day or night length changes, so does growth. Growth will change in response to the length of the day or the length of the night. Okay? So that's kind of some fun facts about antlers. I guess also the difference between an antler and horns. Antlers aren't permanent. They're made of a different kind of tissue, and that towards the end of their cycle, they actually don't have a blood supply. Whereas horns are permanent. They stay with the animal year round. That would be like a mountain goat or a buffalo. Antlers are on animals like moose or deer, elk, those types of things. A lot of animals that we commonly see here in Utah. Okay, so talking about moose and antlers, we're going to just jump into a little bit about what circadian rhythms are and how the environment causes these to happen in deer. So if you'll remember from the beginning of the semester, we were talking about environmental changes and specifically solar radiation and its effect on the earth. So for instance, right now we are in a transition to winter. And so what that means is here's the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. We'll imagine this is the sun. We're starting in this position where the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, which means it's just receiving less direct light. In the summer, as the earth rotates itself around to this side, keeping the tilt about the same, we have the northern hemisphere a little bit closer to where the sun is, and it's receiving more direct light or longer days. Okay? Yes. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is the brain. And I know this isn't an anatomy class, and I'm not trying to make it into one, but the brain plays an important role in this kind of circadian rhythm. For example, we'll use red, it's a nice warm color, to talk about what happens during the summer months when the day lengths are a little bit longer. So this will be summer, and these are long days. Okay, and I'm going to use two different colors just to make sure that we keep these bits of information straight. So long summer days in the summer, I'm going to use a cool blue. These are short days in the winter. Okay, so summer, long days, winter, short days. Here's what happens. As light enters the eye, and this is true for all mammals, as light enters the eye, it actually triggers a center of the brain that we've already kind of talked about in class with temperature regulation. That is the hypothalamus. Okay, the hypothalamus. And here's what the hypothalamus does. The hypothalamus is a structure in the brain that's used to regulate hormone pathways. So whether it's regulating hormones that cause your body to warm up or to cool down, or regulating hormones if you're a moose to grow antlers or not grow antlers. And here's how that works. In the summer, as the days are long, what happens is the hypothalamus, I'm going to just abbreviate with hypothalamus, triggers growth hormones. And those growth hormones trigger antler growth. Okay, so imagine this. As the day lengths get longer and longer, so as the Earth is tilted more towards the sun, well, the northern hemisphere has its tilt closer to the sun, receiving more direct light. You're going to have more light entering the eye, more light triggering the hypothalamus triggering more growth hormones, causing more antler growth to occur, making this the fastest growing tissue that we know of. Okay. On the other side, when it's winter time, here is the process that undergoes. So short winter days, here's what happens. So we have the hypothalamus, and that stops producing growth hormone. So again, GH stops producing growth hormone, and from there it slows and stops antler growth. Okay, so we have this balance of systems. So as the days get shorter, as the Earth is maybe more tilted away from the sun in the wintertime, or the axis is further away from the sun in the northern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere is receiving less sunlight, and that does not trigger the hypothalamus as much to produce growth hormone. And if there's no growth hormone, it's going to slow and stop antler growth. And that happens all the way to the point where the antlers actually drop. Okay, the antlers will fall off, and the organism, the moose or the elk or deer, will grow new antlers the following spring. Okay, now here's where this comes down to optimizing a biological system to be the most efficient and the healthiest for the organism. Because antlers take so much energy to grow, as being the fastest growing tissue, they require a lot of energy input. Now, in the northern hemisphere, we have extreme changes in seasons. So in Utah, we experience pretty hot summers and really cold winters. And what that also means is that food for organisms like these that are plant eaters, herbivores, they aren't able to capture any food or collect food in the wintertime because it's not above the surface of the snow. So what they have evolved to be able to do is to put a ton of energy into growing antlers in the spring and summer when resources are available, and then actually shuts that process down in the wintertime when there isn't as much food or resources available. Okay, so that kind of wraps up circadian rhythms. Again, a circadian rhythm is just a physiological cycle that an organism will go through in response to the environment, and it does that to make sure that that system, that biological event, is happening at its peak capacity. Okay, hopefully that helps. Hopefully you stuck with me, took some really good notes. This information will be on a quiz and it will be on a test. And as usual, if you have questions, let me know. See ya.